Good morning, Saul. Good data. That was a very abrupt end to the music, wasn't it? Surprising almost. Maybe too abrupt. That's okay. Got some reverb going on here. There we go. Much better. Good morning. Good morning. Let's hop right in. Actually, let me close some screens first before I get myself in trouble. Huh? That would make sense, huh? Well, it is Monday, and what a Monday! Good start to the week here. Actually, very exciting. I like seeing a lot of green on that watch list early on. It's always nice. Let's jump right in now. All right. Good morning. It is Monday, August 17th, 2026, and we're here. What do I have open? I have Lunar on the screen. Oh, they were up a whole bunch pre-market. That was why. It's always interesting seeing what you last had open on your screen. But yeah, we've got a solid hour before the market opens, so a lot of things will probably change between now and then. There we go. I wasn't sorting right at all. But yeah, I actually want to talk a little bit about week in review, which I haven't been doing on Fridays lately because it's very difficult to do streams every morning and then random evenings. So that's not happening anymore. But we can still do a little week in review and see how things went. So we'll take a quick look at how all that was. What's going on? Avi Goswami. That is a fun name to say. It rhymes and everything. Been requesting Bob Dog for this Blue Star indicator. Ooh, can we have public access? Probably not. That is a good one. If we're gonna charge for any of them, that's the one we're gonna charge for. It's quite good though, for sure. You know, you can get like just the indicators though if you want. Flava Flav, new week, new opportunity to make money. Indeed, there's a lot of money to be made here actually. So I'm gonna highlight just like there was a lot of action last week from me, and let's zoom in a little bit for those who are actually looking at the screen. I know not everybody is looking at the screen, but yeah, quick little week in review. We'll just hit the highlights here. We won't spend too long on it. But there was a lot, yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on that I thought were good plays to talk about. So here we go. Let's get this lined up nicely. All right. So yeah, a lot of stuff that was paying well. Good morning, BJ and Resolute P. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome in. So yeah, doing a quick little week in review from last week. It's interesting because I didn't actually sell that many options, but it was a very productive week. I will tell you that one of my goals has been over the last couple of weeks now, as things have been grinding back up, is exiting some positions and going cash. And I checked this morning, and I just did a little balance check, and across all of my accounts, I'm 30% cash right now, which is a little higher than I thought I would be, but you got to remember that you're getting premiums and selling shares at an appreciated value, so which you'll see here real quick. So like all of that comes out to a little bit more cash than I was expecting. I was thinking I was going to be around 25%, and honestly, 5%'s a significant difference, right, in terms of like your percent allocation. So yeah, I really only sold shares on things that had earnings last week. So ASTS, obviously, that was a big one. I sold options on that a couple of times. One was a low delta. This was a higher cost basis, and I didn't want to let this one go for less than $100 a share. So didn't make a ton on it, but we made money on it. And then CoreWeave was really good. We were able to buy or sell and buy that option multiple times. In fact, I'm realizing now that it's not even got all of the buy and sells in here. I think there was one more there. Yeah, I think there was one more that I didn't even include here. So I'm underreporting my gains on that. But CoreWeave was fantastic as these stocks are moving up, and you get really good premiums on these high beta stocks. This is where it comes back. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is as we look at things that are like high beta, Lunar is a really good example here. You know, you've got to, on high beta stocks, I think you've got to take profits. When you hit all-time highs, take profits. Just take the profits and walk away for a bit. And you know what? Sometimes or many times you get these ridiculous opportunities like, oh, I don't know. dropping 75% in a month and a half, and if you had waited patiently to get back in, you'd be back up another 75%. Kind of wild to think about that. And we're not, really, I'm not expecting anyone to be able to call the tops and call the bottoms. But just like even here, if you had ran up to here or here and gotten out, you probably would have been happy in hindsight, right? Like things don't run up forever. Again, especially when they're these high beta stocks. And option selling kind of forces you to pick entries and exits to these stocks. Like you can use these as a way to help capitalize on the movements of high beta stocks because they force you to pick an exit or an entry. So ASTS is one that I got in. I had some higher cost basis stuff around here, but I also got in at 60. And when I got in at 60, I decided, you know what, I'd be really happy selling at 70. And what's funny is we closed at 70.98. So I actually made more on that stock. I ended up in the exact perfect sweet zone of I think I said, what did I sell those for? It was over $1, whatever it was, like 265 or something, right? Yeah, 265. So I essentially sold the shares at 72.65, despite the stock finishing at 70.98. That's pretty good. Now we could easily do a couple of things. We could be patient. Now I still have shares, so I'm going to actually play the patient route, because what if we drop back down? Well, that's when we get in with CSPs again down at the bottom here. You might be tempted, I'm tempted to get back in at 70, and I could arguably be like, yeah, well, that's fine, because the cost basis is really under 60 at this point with how much I bought and sold it, which is true. Or we could have some patience and see if this or other high beta stocks present an opportunity to get in closer to a bottom. So just something that I've been thinking about recently, especially on the high beta stuff, because I think a lot of people get stuck with them, and it can be really frustrating if you get in way high or higher than the stock deserves to be, maybe, and then it drops greatly, right? And then when it does drop greatly, are you averaging down? Are you taking advantage of the drop? Or are you just going to painfully sit there? But if you're going to painfully sit there, if you're never transitioning back to cash in any of your positions. So I'm personally coming to the conclusion that it's important to have a rotation of some sort to provide yourself with future opportunities, unless you really think that a stock you have is going to run to the moon. And look, I don't believe every stock I have is going to run 500%, right? Like some might. But yeah, I'm totally fine with taking some opportunities there. All right. Good morning, Nim and Foregunner. Oust needs to fly. It might. It might. Do you have it covered, Foregunner? I'm curious. Good morning, Green Cheese. Profits are great. Yes. What are you getting in on? I know you were talking about you've got an awful lot of buying power all of a sudden. Have you thought about what you're going to go after? Or are you also going to take a breather and see where the market goes? I know Bob was talking about MU and Sandisk. We can take a look at those as well. But anyway, yeah, it was a great week. I think this is a good week to be like, hey, I had a lot of shares called away, all above cost basis, and I was very happy with every single one of those transactions. I bought Circle at 65, and let's do this thing here. I've got this little calculator I can bring down that I made that shares what we've made on these stocks as we get in and out of them. And for some reason, the share thing is not working. Only the CCs and the CSPs. I don't know why. But yeah, for those of you who saw my clickbait title and actually came through, the stock that has made me the most as a percent of the amount put in is Oust. It does rhyme with joust. I just want to be clear. I said it rhymed with joust. It was not the hardest to guess. I can't imagine any other stock tickers that rhyme with joust, by the way. But yeah, over the course of just a few weeks here, check out the Oust chart. Now, I like to draw everything that I have going on with a stock as I get in and out of it. And Oust is a mess for me because I got in at 45. I did not get out at 50. Some shares got called away at 50, not all of them, which was very odd. I got back in with more shares at 43, just barely. Oh, no, no, no. I'm sorry. I didn't get in at 43. I tried to get in at 43. It just barely missed. Covered again at 50 on the run up. That was fantastic. So I just keep getting paid, getting paid, getting paid. And then again, this is an opportunity to average down if you've got cash. So we got in with 40 puts and we dropped pretty big all the way down to 34, but we have been collecting premiums this whole time. So this is, in my mind, totally fine. And then we covered at 40. So some shares almost got called away at 40. I ended up rolling this out to 41 a week out, and that ended up being fantastic. Nothing was called away. We made more money. And then the stock, unsurprisingly, ran back up, and we covered at 45, which I was like, surely these will get called away. Nope. Nope. It looked like they were getting called away literally all week long. And then Friday we dropped out. I did cover some more. I think I bought the close and resold it at 48 because there was some wild movement going on here. And then last week we covered at 50, which it's funny. On Friday we even touched 50. So this is just this again, high beta stock. We're moving at essentially four times the volatility of a typical SPY holding, and it's been fantastic. We've just generated a ton on this particular stock. We've gotten in and out with shares a few times, and in this time period where we started getting in since June, which has only been July, August, 2 months, not even, because this is June 23rd, by the way. So like, yeah, basically just about 2 full months by the end of this week. We walked away with, in premiums, 13,000, and then share price change as well, another like 8,000 or something like that on top of it of appreciation. And now what are we doing? Well, we're opening at 50. Well, it was above 50 a little while ago. We've dropped back below it. That's okay. What are we going to do? I may cover aggressively at 50. I might give it some time to see if we run up. I actually like that we're backing off going into the actual open. This way we avoid more gaps that we inevitably close. If you look, every time it gaps up, close. Gap up, close. So like not gapping up seems good to me. I would love to avoid gaps. Get little gap over here, closed it. It is definitely something this stock tends to do. So not having a gap at open, amazing. Opening at the top of the wick seems great, and that should be a really nice stock to continue to wheel. So I'll probably cover it. I was looking at this a little earlier today. Highly likely that I'll be covering this somewhere around either 55 or 60. I plan to give it a little bit of time before that. At open, you can see, or at close of Friday, 55 at 48.50 or 48.71 would have paid about $1. More likely, it'll pay something like $1.50 at open, based on the fact that we'll be opening closer to 50. So that looks good. And then the other one I'm considering is way out at 60. There's a lot of volume at 65, which I find interesting. But again, I'm not looking to call the exact top. I'd love to get out at 60. That would be a huge profit on those shares that I got back in at 41, 40. So this all seems good to me, right? I'm happy to sell the shares. I'm happy to let them go. Collecting premium along the way if they don't go, or if they do go, either way you collect that premium, and then the share appreciation is just a beautiful thing. So it's been a fantastic week. We also had shares called away for ASTS. We called away 500 of them at 70 on shares that had a cost basis of 60, not including the premium. ASTS is another one that we've made a ton of money on just from this is just premiums, no share value right there. But going from 60 to $70 on top of the premium is another $1,000, right? Like, is it 1,000? Right? No, it's more. It's 2,000. 2,000. Wait, what? No, 500 times $10. Yeah, no, so it's 5,000. Wow, I can't do math. I could have just looked here, right? So yeah, big share appreciation, and again, it forces me to take the profit. Now, I will say, all of the trades that I'm showing here were all in IRAs, so no tax implications for these gains. If you're doing this in taxable, you may be considering this a little bit differently, where you don't want to exit a position if you think there's more room to run. So like you might have rolled this out in the case of ASTS to try to push it out a little bit further. And that's totally fine. That's up to you. I do have a slightly different strategy in my taxable versus my non-taxable holdings. You had Tesla called away at 335. Awesome, dude. So that's going to give you, that's going to free up a lot of cash for sure. Low CSP and put credit spreads on Tesla or other holdings? I'm curious. So that's just a real quick week in review. I've been very happy with the option selling cycle here over the last I don't know, a few months have been fantastic as we, it's generally like selling covered calls is generally considered a bullish tilt strategy. You're hoping the stock does go up. You're hoping the shares do get called away eventually. And if they drop, it's okay. It hedges. But if it's in a continual dropping scenario, I think most people know by now that have been following us for a while that, yeah, it could get tough selling options. If you got in here and you're trying to sell covered calls, like you can't just keep selling them here. It's not even worth it. It's not going to get you anything. Did I make that Excel trade tracker file from scratch? I did. This is pre-AI. There's no AI in that. You're free to use that Flava Flav if you want. I have shared that before. If you want, I'll reshare it on After Hour today for anyone who wants to use it. I do, for the record, I use the Theta Daddy's option tracker, the journal, but there's certain things that I like to be able to do that I can just do quicker in the trade tracker here. So I actually do both. It doesn't take much time. I've been doing this for so long that it's not even like a thought process, to be honest. I just do it. But this gives a really nice summary of total performance and everything that's been going on. So year to date, we're at almost 200K in premiums. Hopefully, maybe we hit that this week. That'd be pretty cool. And then realize P&L, I think this has to do with when like you're selling shares specifically. Win rate, yeah, not perfect, but that's okay. It's hard to be perfect in general. You're never going to be perfect. Even selling options, eventually you're going to take some losses. But the average return has been very good on capital here. So this is really the key here, right? Or is your average return what you want it to be? So very good. And the annualized return has been insane, which is just multiplying this by 50 or whatever. So good stuff. We do roll. You can see how often we roll. This is usually taxable rolls, not always, but usually. Also, if I sell like a below cost basis and things start running up, I'll often roll that. But yeah, it's really nice having this review of what you did, and you can see most of what I'm doing are covered calls, cash secured puts, and then some swing trading, of course, in my challenge accounts that I like to do. Also, a little bit of leap action. I see my best trade is about equal to my worst trade. We've come out positive, which is nice. But the fact is, I've got a couple that are cooking that will not be that great. Although, again, they're all going to be offset. So my leaps are not my most consistent things that I do. I still find them tough to really time and hold well. I could have had bigger wins and smaller losses with some slightly different approaches. But yeah, again, as always, you learn by touching the hot stove. So we don't need to, yeah. Hopefully we can stop touching the hot stove so much one day. I'm not sure it ever changes though. All right. Anyway, today we're going to look at some different stocks and whatnot. I will definitely share that Flava Flav. First, let's take a look, as we usually do, at what are the indices doing. So that concludes the week in review portion. I told you I keep it pretty quick. 15 minutes, I'd say that's pretty good. And like at a glance, SPY flat, perfectly flat. 0.02 down. We'll call that flat. It was up like 0.1% earlier. IWM is actually dropping a bit from an all-time high close, which is fine. Look, this is higher high, higher low territory. So we're all good with this. This is totally fine. And QQQ was up 0.5% a little bit earlier, now only up 0.15. So cooling off a little bit, as we see also on the watch list. So I don't know if there's any macro news coming out. That's the thing on a Monday morning. Like, obviously, look, Europe's been up all day. The Middle East and China, they've been up for their day. Sol's been up all day. Good morning, Tony Royal. Welcome in, welcome in. So the news is what it is until like 8 a.m. and then people in the US start saying stupid stuff probably and things change. It is what it is. But that's kind of the beauty of doing a 7 or 8:30 to 9:30 show. I don't know why I put it in air quotes. I think it really is. We would have to call this a show. Seeing where things transition, how the news changes, you can start to get a feel for like how the market makers maybe are looking to set things up. But we've got a lot of good stories here. Again, like looking at QQQ, I don't know. This is kind of a bull flag thing going on here. If we sideways trade here for a little bit, it's not like panic inducing or anything. Again, higher high, higher lows. I think this is all totally fine. Now, will we close this gap? Maybe. It does hit the if you haven't used it, the control line indicator is really nice. It's a Bob Dog special, and you find that the stock tends to react around it, whether it's support or resistance. It tends to be a good support resistance line, and it is in the gap. So it wouldn't be out of this world for us to do a back test here towards the control line. Hopefully, we don't ever close that gap. Right, that'd be better. And honestly, we have like a gap overlying a gap, so I don't know. Funny stuff happens there to begin with, so it doesn't matter too much, I don't think. But yeah, everything is kind of opening cooler than it was about a half hour ago, 7:30 or 45 minutes ago when we wrote our morning prep session update. But like, yeah, that's totally fine. So let's take a look at what's hot and what's not. Do you guys ever see that website in the 90s, hotornot.com? Totally. That was a thing. IBIT actually up 1%. Wait a second. Bitcoin is doing something? No, no. Bitcoin continues to trade sideways again in this very clear resistance channel that we've been in for a while. So we've got very strong support down here at 58K. I know Green Cheese still thinks we're going to 45. I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm not sure where we're going to get there. It's possible. It's possible. This could definitely be another lower high, lower low. You might be right. But I think the greater population of Bitcoin holders are probably hoping that we're a breakthrough here. And again, control line resistance here, along with the just support and resistance line of past. It's going to make this a tall task, along with the 200 and the 100 SMAs right above us, overhanging. Now, we did manage to break the 100 here briefly, but the 200 was just like, nope, back down you go. And that was all the way up at 82, and we are down 16% from there on the 200 SMA. It's a weird thing to check, I know, but like that's interesting to see how far the 200 SMA has dropped. And that will be very strong resistance now at 69,000. That's yeah, not nice. And the 100 SMA being at 66,000. Yeah, we got some work to do. It's going to take some real effort for Bitcoin to break through here, I believe. Now, we are starting to see a little bit of a spike up in VIX. We did do VIX calls last week. I guess I should have rebought them for this week, as we are up 5% on those already. And typically when we hit these lows, we do not stay here for very long. We've been on this trend line here for VIX that has broken down briefly last week, but already opening right back at it. Definitely mildly concerning. Not entirely sure what's driving that. Although we can see oil is somewhat elevated at the moment. It is not even a full percent, but it's up, and we want it to go down, but we are not heading that direction quite yet. I know there's a lot of chatter about the Strait of Hormuz. Somebody tell me how to say that one day. And yeah, a lot of concern there. This is going to impact the market if oil spikes back to the 100 SMA here, which is up around 88.50. That would be problematic, and that'd be a big jump. That'd be a 7% jump for whatever the time frame is from now to get to that point. Also, we are seeing gold continues to be stuck here at the 100 SMA on the daily. That's pretty fascinating. It's actually $10 below it, which is within like it's incredibly negligible what percent that is. What is that? 0.2% away from the 100 SMA. Tried to break through it repeatedly here, struggling. Can't seem to stay above it. I don't know. I know there's a lot of people that are bullish about it right now. I'm still in the camp of like, are we going to bounce off here towards this what I think is a likely point to test? Time will tell. Time will tell. Silver doing about the same, right? Same looking chart here, although not quite at the 100, a little bit below that. And that's giving us some hints of where gold will go as well. Hard to say. So that takes us to some of the broader ETFs, things like the semiconductors. They were up a bit more earlier, hanging out at about 0.7% for SMH and SOX at zero point 0.9. They must have slightly different holdings. And yeah, that's right under the 50 SMA for SOX. I would assume it's the same for SMH. It is. And in fact, they're opening at the 50. So again, a lot of resistance to break through here potentially. Can they do it? Sure, probably. Will they do it? We'll find out. WIGME, of course, being the Bitcoin miners, still in this big old cup and handle pattern, hanging out at the top end of the handle, looking like it might finally break through. I mean, earnings have been so good and so strong, demand is so strong that it does feel like there's the catalyst and support needed to break through resistance here. It's going to be a little while though. I mean, like we can see that this chart goes back to October of 2025. So we're not quite at a year, but we're approaching it. It's a long cup and handle, so I wouldn't expect us to pop off in a couple of days or anything like that. But over the next few months, we could see ourselves heading towards a cup and handle top, which if we were to do that would be, let's see, let's just draw the line of where that would take us target wise. I mean, it's like $130. That's pretty solid for where we are right now, which is, I mean, right now we're at 50. So cup and handle, whoops. Let's just write this out, is 130. And that increase, if we were to get there, whew, there's another 150% run. I don't know if it's got it in it. We'll see. I mean, it's been, if we look out on the monthly, you can see that it's already gone quite high from where it started. The very bottom, I mean, geez, if anybody got in there, good job. Talk about a amazing call. But if you look on the macro, it does look good, right? Higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher low, high. A little bit of a lower low, but then a much higher high. Same deal. Is this, are we just going to see a big continuation here? It feels like over time, yes. It doesn't feel like, it doesn't look like a double top because we actually made a higher high here, but we will find out, obviously, over time. Any stocks that you all want to take a look at today, let me know. Good morning, Sace Q5V. Very, very creative name you have there. I've got a few that I want to look at, but happy to look at anything that you all are thinking about. I feel like last week was a big old reset, though, with the earnings kind of wrapping up for us. Speaking of which, let's take a quick look at what we have coming up this week for earnings. AAOI, your favorite, huh? Let's go to, how do I find this guy? Earnings. Hey, there's Bob Dog. There he is. All right. So for this week, we've got, wait a second. Yeah, this is fine. We can look at this picture. This is earnings, most anticipated earnings releases for this week. We've got today, nothing really exciting. A lot of international companies are doing some reporting this week. You know, anything that has Chinese letters, obviously. Baidu is another one. We had JD last week. We've got, do we have Baba this week? I feel like I saw them somewhere. Well, let's just go through it. So tomorrow is probably the first big day with some interesting names. We've got the Home Depot, which is, we had Lowe's, we have Lowe's later in the week. So Home Depot and Lowe's pairing is always usually how it goes, right? They group the sectors. We've got Klarna. Klarna is that company that you can like do online layaway payments. Do you remember layaway? I still don't really understand that. I never used it. But that will be an indicator for consumer spend and debt levels. There's correlations there with this one. So this it may not seem that exciting, but it may tell us more about the market and the strength of the market than most people expect. Outside of that, there's a lot of, again, international companies that I don't know a whole lot about. Pony.ai is somewhat popular. And then not really any of these others. And then on Wednesday, we've got Target, or Target, as many like to say, Lowe's, Estee Lauder, which is only interesting because that was a Michael Burry company pick a while back. A lot more international businesses. Zim, what does Zim do? I always forget. Can't remember every single company, can I? Integrated shipping services. Yeah. Okay. So Shipping and logistics, we've got some of them reporting out. We saw that, some other trucking companies. And then big one on Wednesday afternoon is Webull, which has been on a bit of a run, actually. We look at them, or let's not look at the monthly. That's still a sad looking chart on the monthly. Let's zoom in here a little bit. Maybe I got too many lines. I got to turn some of these lines off. But yeah, if we just look at the last few months, it's up 80% from lows in April. And it's been on a really nice, like slow but upward trend here that I like to see. And most notably on the weekly, we closed above $8 for the first time since January. And that's a pretty big deal. Actually, yeah, back here was the last time. So that's a good switch over from where we've been. Hopefully, if you're a big believer of bull, you took some opportunity to average down here. But my guess is a lot of people were getting sick and tired of it and didn't do that, myself included. I did average down a few times, but the holding was getting too ridiculous. Or I'm like, yeah, that's the max. That's it. But closed right at the 50 SMA on the weekly. So strong resistance, but that's fine because we've got earnings this week. So whatever happens here is going to be highly based off of earnings results. Now, that's a good question. Do you cover on earnings? It really depends on what you believe here. We've got a recent golden cross back here. 50 is going to cross the 200 here in the next in the next week or two, probably somewhere out next week, assuming earnings is good and assuming the stock continues to stay above 8. So if that happens, I mean, we are definitely heading in the right direction. Will we go all the way back to where we were? I don't know. We might have some resistance along the way. Certainly, the control line is a spot of resistance that it seems like it's going to be hard to break through. Good morning, Steve Haas, BTBT. We'll take a look at that. And Jacob Weiser, good morning. RA3, dude, good to see you, man. I hope you're having a happy Monday as well. Welcome in, welcome in. So anyway, bull looking pretty good. And we've got, I guess some people are into Beam. I'm not one of them. And Thursday, big one with, there it is. There's Baba. All right. We got Walmart and we got Alibaba. Now, I had Alibaba Leaps that I sold. We've showed that many times because I'm way too proud of that trade. We just got the bottom and the top perfectly. But they could definitely continue to rip here if they have a good earnings. Now, Walmart, I haven't looked at Walmart in a minute. Let's take a quick look at that chart. And they're actually a little depressed here, back in the lower 100s after a run up to about 135, 140. So under the 100 and the 200 SMAs, finding some support at the 50. Will they be able to break out here? I don't know. They got a lot of resistance overhead here, but obviously good earnings could certainly do it for them. They're a strong company. Then we've got John Deere, usually has some good news, big news, big movement out of that. And then everything else I don't really care about except for, of course, Bad Judgment on Friday before open has his report out. Should be good. Should be good. A lot of international companies though. So this will be interesting, especially as we get towards the end of the week with Baba on the strength of some of the international markets and how things are going there, which may have an impact on other things. So let's take a quick look at AAOI was one of the requests from our boy Green Cheese, who is crushing it lately. And I tell you, this chart overall looks pretty good. I mean, it's been super bullish. They had obviously good earnings. They had a surprise EPS of almost 300%. I guess that's good, right? Pretty sure. So yeah, they're back above all their EMAs and SMAs, and they've flipped to full bullish here on just about every time frame, although the weekly doesn't show it for some reason. But my guess is this is going to flip bullish any minute, probably this week, actually. I would guess even at open, we'll probably print the blue star here. And more importantly than that, even, we've got really nice silver flow here for AOI on the weekly. And I think also, yeah, we're seeing it tick up here again on the daily. So we could definitely run back up towards the top of the channel, which would put us at almost 350 from where we're at today. That's pretty insane. That is a solid 100% plus 130% increase that we could be looking at if it continues to run. Also, a little bit of a bull flag going on here potentially as Yeah, we might break out of that again with just continued interest in everything optoelectronics. Oust also doing quite well, as we were looking at earlier this morning, up a few percent on some positive catalysts and all that. So not surprising that sector in general is doing quite well. All right, BTBT. Let's take a quick look at what is Bit Digital. Are they a penny stock? They're on the line, dude. All right, so full disclosure, I would say this: I don't generally put too much stock into the charting of anything under a billion, or really 500 million's the line in the sand. But like realistically, anything under a billion could drop to 500 pretty easily from a market cap perspective. So anyway, that said, disclaimer out of the way. If we take a quick look at the monthly here, you can see that it has been. Well, we got to turn gold regime off. It's breaking. It breaks sometimes on the monthly. I don't know why. Yeah, this is like the entirety of this stock is a wedge. That's crazy. Look at that. I mean, look at that. Okay. You see it, right? I'm sure you see it. And it's the same in this direction. But what is interesting here is that we're coming to the end of it before some new direction has to be chosen. We either are going to pop out the top or the bottom, and we're really right in the middle of it. And this is going to be decided here likely by August of next year. So we have plenty of time. Anyway, the point is, if we were to stay in the channel here, we've got like 40% upside potential, but we also still have continuing 15% downside. My guess is that we do bounce back off the upside. I have no idea if there's real potential for us to break through. Are they truly going to be a big player in whatever it is they do these days? So they are cloud services for AI, machine learning developers, and obviously they're a former miner. I assume they're still mining. Maybe do they just like sell capacity so they mine with any excess capacity? That is interesting, right? Like if you use whatever you've got left over to mine, that's kind of cool. Um, but I honestly, I don't have a strong position, or I have zero position in this company. I don't have a strong perspective or opinion on where it might go. All I can tell you is the chart says wedge, 40% upside, 15% downside. No idea where it might go from there. The upside would take you to about 220 a share if it were to jump there. But I'm not sure I would be taking a position here. It feels very coin flippish. Although the ups, it's a little obviously it's asymmetric, as the downside's only 15% if we stay within the wedge, and upside's 40%. So nothing terrible going on there. So that's my take on BTBT. Another one that we've been keeping an eye on is SoFi, which has looked really good as of recently. We had this big old triple bottom, and which is not a bad thing. Triple bottom is strong support. We could not break through $15, even though we dropped after that earnings, which by the way was not bad. It was a double beat. And I love how people try to make sense out of earnings. Like, well, it was a double beat, but the stock went down because of blah blah blah. And it's like, no, this is where you're like, okay, no, it's just gonna touch the line that it wants to touch. Why? I don't know. Market makers, algos, who knows? But now it's up 25% from that point. So if you had very simply at this double bottom a limit buy, you're up 25% on those shares. That would have went quite well for you. But that's hard to do because if it drops, people are panicking and that's going to go to zero. Anyway, the result has been a bull flag that over the course of a week has looked quite good with a run up, a real nice consolidation here. And look at this. You can see it in the volume, right? Spike in volume, and then very clear, as I like, we'll bring this up here. Very clear. Look at this, just beautiful consolidation that should end up with hopefully a pop out to the upside. Ward Monsieur, welcome, welcome. ATEC Alpha Tech Holdings seems like a good one. All right, let's take a look at ATEC. Is it ATECA? ATEC. Okay. Let's take a look at the monthly to start. I like to always start with the zoom out. I'm assuming this is based on what the name is. sounds like a biotech. I'm not assuming it is. It is. It is not a penny stock. All right. All right. Good job. We will. Okay. We'll look at TE next. Don't worry about that. They have never made money. That's good to know. But somehow they're getting better revenue and net margin despite never making money. Alphatec engages in the design, development, and marketing of spinal fusion technology products and solutions for treatment of spinal disorders. Okay, the firm offers intraoperative information and neuromonitoring technologies. Very cool. Implants, fixation systems. That's a fancy name. And various biologics offerings. It's international. Okay, cool. Based in Carlsbad, California. Well, the monthly is good. We obviously had a big old drop from inception to all the way down to like a $1.20, yeah, something like that. But since then, for the last few years, consistent volume increase. That's kind of interesting. Look at that. Just consistent volume increase. And with that volume increase, share price appreciation. There's no like clear channel. You could kind of, well, I guess you could draw this, right? Um, and while I would like to be able to draw this with it being a channel, I'm not sure it is. I mean, maybe it is something like this, but it could also be a bit of a wedge, um, ascending wedge. Like, yeah, these are all definitely possibilities. I feel like I'm slightly grasping at straws with it, but regardless, it looks quite bullish at this point. If we were to take this all the way back here, this was a bounce point right here. Look at that. So if it were a channel, which we just magically drew, we didn't. This is not prepped, but I think this is a really interesting case study. Look at what happens here. I do like this actually. First off, let me bring the volume back down. So we had a very clear resistance at the what is now the top of the channel that we drew. That then became support here, right? And resistance. You can see that we tweezer bottomed here and went back up to the top of the same channel that we were in over here. And then we gapped down to then find our way looking at this as resistance again, turned back into support. And then here we are, support with the tweezer bottom. And what do you expect to happen from here? Like, there's nothing else I ever expect to happen from here but this, unless there's an obvious, huge negative catalyst and we're dropping out of the channel. But the fact is, it does look like a really nice spot, especially if you got in at 70 bucks or $7, you'd be up 26, 27% already. Not bad, but like the upside potential is quite strong here. Now, I would highly recommend you look into this company more than just the chart in this case. A lot of times when we look at these type of charts, it's paired with Pepsi. It's paired with Microsoft. Companies, Palantir, right? Companies that have track records and you have a general understanding of what all is happening with it. Now, maybe this is a company that's got a long runway ahead of it. But I would most definitely recommend some fundamental analysis of this. Again, they're not making any money here based on what TradingView is showing on the income statements. So, and there's no PE ratio for that matter. EPS is minus 72 cents. Not super high beta or anything though, which is, I guess, a positive. I'd probably look into the earnings reports and calls. So spinal surgery tooling. Anyway, I think it's a good pick to take a look into deeper, but I do urge caution because it's in the healthcare space, right? Health tech space, biotech space, maybe depending on how you want to look at it. And this is definitely a nice chart, but just the business doesn't make money yet. And that doesn't mean that the stock won't go up. Obviously, it is right now. Those are the things you need to look into. TE, let's take a look at TE. Now, T1 Energy, I have a position in, full disclosure. Look at that. All of my CSPs in that month line up beautifully. I love it. Yeah, so this has been great. We got in and out and in and out. I have 3,000 shares, I think. I tried to get more at $4. They didn't hit. Actually, I tried to get more here at $5 again. So let's just copy and paste this over. That also did not hit, although it looked like it was going to for a little bit there, but ultimately did not. Let's fix this. 5, 5. Okay. What's going to happen this week? I don't know. But they had very bullish results and or conversations around the results. Things were looking pretty good from a reported revenue standpoint. This is huge. They will eventually leverage positively and make money. I think this is a lot of investment related stuff that it's okay if they're negative here right now. So yeah, I like TE here. I think it feels bottomy for sure. If we were to draw like a double bottom potentially, that seems like a likely scenario. I don't see any other really clear patterns. I guess maybe there's an argument for inverse head and shoulders potentially. I don't know. It's not very clean. But regardless, I feel like this is a very nice bullish run after the gap down. We closed the gap. We kept running, found support here at $5. 5 has been a traditional support and resistance area, a little bounce line going on there. So yeah, feels good. I plan to continue to hold, and if we were to drop to $4, I would add probably another 500 shares. Is not financial advice, but what I'm personally considering doing on the stock. So something to think about. All right, next up is Wi-Fi from Mr. Haas. We are looking at a cup and a handle that we drew last week at some point. I shared this with Bob Dog, actually, because I think he's a Wi-Fi fan. And yeah, I mean, right now it looks like it's going for the breakout. And we're seeing this in a lot of the WIGMI stocks here that are same kind of deal, right? There are a lot of similarities between all of these. Actually, you know what? Is Wi-Fi in WIGMI? I wonder. Let's take a quick look at the fund. And can I do this alphabetically? Not really, but I guess they are. Look at that. They're 2% of the holdings, so obviously not huge, but that's exciting that they are lining up well because that means that this might be seeing some sector benefits, right, in this pattern, and it looks good to me. Again, I don't have a position. I'm not sure I would take a position here because I've got a lot of CoreWeave and other things that are in WIGMI, so probably not touching it. But if this is your play for DC type stuff, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Then we've got Oh my dude, that Sice. What is that stock? VTR SVA Viatris. VTR. I don't even know how to look. What? VRTS? There we go. Okay. You put it all together. Got it. Very confused for a second there. We got there though. Let's take a look at the monthly to start. And this is, if you're wondering, another health tech company, pharmaceuticals, major. And they are a 20 billion market cap company that does not currently make money, but probably has at some point, I would imagine. Let's take a look. Yeah, they have. Did they just not make money? Why is their EPS negative? I don't know. It seems odd. Big net income hit. Yeah, okay. I don't know. Maybe there was a divestiture, impairment, perhaps, etc. We'd have to look into some earnings a little bit more cleanly to see what exactly went down here. But some sort of investment, I assume, around this time period. And 5 must-read questions from Beatrice's Q2 earnings calls. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, why are they showing beats, but for some reason the earnings results were not showing beats? So, top 5 questions were durability of China growth, clinical trial design, potential of fast-acting meloxicam. Okay, who cares? Okay, I'm not going to make any sense out of any of this in a very short stream. So we'll just look at the chart here. Definitely bullish. Probably cup and handle right now. Actually, I would guess if I were to draw some lines here, we definitely have what look like cup and handle going on, and not surprising after a little run up here that maybe we have some consolidation, right? So we'll see if this ends up happening as drawn or something like this. Very, very possible. Maybe size wise, we're looking at a few weeks here. I'm on the, or a few months here. Sorry, a few months. A few months. This would be a year long cup and handle, FYI. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I would expect this one to move quickly for a little while, unless they have some really big breakthroughs. Just because this time frame is so long. If we were to look on a shorter time frame, what does it tell us? Is it telling us anything different? Not particularly. It's kind of it's got a small cup and handle here, I guess, maybe, sort of. Yeah, I don't know. I think what we just drew here is very likely to happen on the monthly because again, over the course of a few months, there's a pretty sizable run up for them of 125%. Actually, well, from the bottom, forget it. It was 170% run up. So consolidation would be expected unless they've got way more in the tank that I'm not sure about. Technicals are neutral. I would agree with that because cup and handle is going to sideways trade basically for the next year based on what I see. So yeah, maybe just get in for a long ride if you're holding on to that one. If they do, I don't know. They do dividends, right? So it's not a terrible thing to hold if you like their dividend. It's 12 cents a quarter, is it? So not terrible. Up 18% now. Caught it from a friend who bought it at the bottom. Nice, good for them. Very cool. You have shares in CMB Tech, CMBT. Should I sell them here? Let's take a look. Shipping business in Belgium. You know, on Twitch.tv, like 6 months ago, I got recommended a stream of a woman that was a truck driver in Belgium. It's very weird. I watched it for a little bit. I was like, oh, this is neat. The roads are so tiny. I can't imagine being a truck driver. Another potential cup and handle though. So this is strong resistance at this exact point. But here's the deal. It doesn't mean it's a cup and handle, right? They don't have to happen. What it does mean is there was a big run up of again 136%, which is pretty strong run up. This is on the monthly. So it would not be out of this world to consolidate for a bit. And if you look, we're opening up, which is quite nice, but we are opening at the exact all-time high within a penny. 1745 was the all-time high, and we're opening at 1746. So I personally would probably watch and see what happens. You could cover this aggressively, like at 18, maybe. Assuming they have options. I'm not even sure, volume wise, the volume should be able to support options for sure. The question is how many. CMBT, but it's Belgium, right? Is this on the European exchange, maybe? Um, Whatever it's on. Yeah, I mean, you could sell at the money for a percent and maybe get called away. And it looks like you can't even sell 20. At least not for this is for a weekly. They're monthly otherwise. You could look to do that in September, maybe for a percent or two. Personally, it's like I'm not sure why you're in the stock. Like, what prompted you to get in it? It's nice to have caught a nice run up like that. Maybe it was a play off the 100 SMA on the monthly. If so, nice pick, nice catch. Uh, but this is like super strong resistance right here. If it breaks through, cool. Maybe see if you can catch a additional run up. But I don't know why it would continue to run up unless there's some really interesting analyst coverage and growth potential. Like this chart's not overly exciting to me. We had a run up of revenue and margin, and then revenue spiked, which is huge, but income dropped dramatically. So I mean, that's it's a good chart. It's a good chart. This could be explained away by investments and whatnot. Obviously, quarterly it looks much better actually. So they're starting to lever, but their revenue did also decrease. So I don't know. This could be taken a lot of different ways from analysts that might be like, yeah, this is the run rate, this is the price, and we sideways trade forever, or what have you. Um, that's my take on it. Quick thoughts on RR. Haven't looked at RR in a while. Let's take a look see at RR. RR is Rich Tech Robotics. And there's Bob Dogger shared a robotics ETF, which is kind of cool, which could be a good way to get exposure RR is a penny stock, by the way, and both in price, like share price, and market cap. So they're at risk of delisting concerns, and they might get shorted into the ground, which is always the problem with these types of companies. And then they're forced to reverse split. I do not like holding anything penny stock related that's anywhere near anything less than $5 a share is very dangerous territory. Now, I don't know what they're listed through, so there's that. Oh yeah, they're on Nasdaq. Nasdaq requirements, I think, are like above $2 a share. Could probably look that up, but those are all real concerns here that I see. And looking at the chart on the monthly, it's not very exciting. The daily, is it any better? Let's take a look. I mean, maybe it's back on the up and up here, right? Like we could run back up to something. Probably resistance coming our way right here at 188, which by the way is also basically what the control line is. We've got the 50 SMA there, the hundreds at 215, which is not bad because like that's a 23% run up from where we're at right now. But like I do see I see a lot of resistance here from where we've dropped to, which is yeah, it's bearish on the longer time frames, bullish on the daily. There's no silver flow here to support the daily, so it's a triple star, which is good, but we really want to see some uptick here of some bigger money flowing in. Otherwise, they're at risk of getting delisting and doing reverse splits and all that yuck. Reverse splits are, I call it a death spiral. Generally, not a good look for a company having to do the reverse split. We did have a double bottom over here, so I guess that's a potential uh, positive to consider. But otherwise, yeah, I don't know. And the fact is, I don't know enough about the company to really talk intelligently about what they do, what they offer, what their growth potential is, all that. If you're a big believer, then that's fine, right? You've got to have some conviction, though, if you're going to hold this one. It's my take. As long as Iran isn't solved, I think we keep going. I mean, which on what? In the market or on a particular stock that we were just looking at? This is the problem with me not paying attention to chat quickly enough. Anyway, we're 5 minutes ish, 6 minutes from open here. So we'll take one more look at the indices before we get kicked off for the day. And yeah, while we wait for that, real quick, if you're a new viewer and you like what you're watching and hanging out, maybe hit the subscribe button, maybe hit the like button. Always appreciated. That's how you pay me, is with the like button, I guess. Thank you. I don't get paid for this, by the way. Well, actually, it's not true. Green Cheese and Tony Royale, one other guy. Thanks for that support. All right, let's take a look at the indices. If we look at SPY is flat as a board, 0.01%. That's about as flat as it gets. But again, bull flag pennant here thing going on the daily, so we most definitely could continue to rip. And starting here at open, totally cool. There's nothing wrong with a flat open. This is like, yeah, all good. Thanks, Green Cheese. I appreciate it. Well, hey, I feel like I help pay for that, by the way, with that Reddit. we just got to keep doing that over and over and over. And then we have QQQ, right? QQQ is back up a little bit after dropping almost flat. Not much though. And there's one interesting thing to note on QQQ, and that is the all-time highs are way up here at 747, right? So if we want to get to all-time highs on QQQ, we do have to open and hit another 2%er day, which is not common. They do happen on QQQ, but they're not super common. It's obviously a little bit more volatile than, say, SPY with a slightly higher beta of 1.4. But Bros, we got to look at Bros too. We'll look at Bros in a second. And then yeah, IWM, where are you at? You're still down slightly, but again, this is all fine. Nothing really to panic about at all, in my opinion. Yeah, let's take a quick look at Bros. Bros was a position that I've been building into here, and we got in right here. This was what we're calling the bottom, and I'm not sure it is, but it's on a shorter time frame, a real nice support line. And I think the upside is truly to at least 65 here, which would be a nice little 23 percenter. But realistically, I think the resistance line here is even more likely at 40%. Again, the news, this was an earnings drop off of a double beat that was super impressive, over CapEx spend, which is mind-blowing that anyone could be so short-sighted to be like, oh, this was a bad move, where their whole business model is to expand by buying real estate and to be able to buy it on liquidation from other businesses that are closing out. Seems good. My dog is going nuts, by the way. Seems good to me. And I am a fan of Bros right now. Now, I have not, I keep saying I'm going to go visit some stores. I haven't yet. I need to find some local to me that's like not more than a half hour drive. I don't want to drive further than a half hour for coffee. I'm going to be tired and cranky because I'm going to have to go in the morning if I'm going to get it at all. But that's on the list of things to do, just to do a little personal research into it. They're going to eat away, I think, at Starbucks's giant market that they're going after, and Starbucks has been doing quite well as well. So, like again, the sector is strong, in my opinion. If we're seeing what was over the course of since 2025, basically a bull run up 40% for Starbucks, pretty good, pretty good. Swirled Frequency, new name maybe. Okay, welcome, welcome. Or maybe I have seen your name before. Dude, I can't keep up with names anymore. It's amazing how at some point you just like you can't hold them all anymore. They're popular in Colorado. I was told by a guy, a West Coaster, to look into them about a year or two ago, and I've just been keeping an eye on them. When I first started looking at them, they only had monthly options, and now they have, I believe now they have weeklies. I hope you guys have got to be able to hear the barking, right? Yeah, they got weeklies now, so that in itself is volume increasing, interest increasing. There's some takeaways that you can have from a stock moving from monthlies only to weeklies. It's been in TD a while, but just last week. All right, man, awesome, love it. I think your name is familiar. Do you swirl your coffee? Is that what this is referencing? No, probably not. All right, 1 minute to open. Any bets on the Christmas tree? Are we going to blink up or down? Oust cooling off. Continue. That's unfortunate. It's not terrible though. We were up over 50 a little earlier. Makes me wonder, should I have just sold shares at 50? No, we're going to cover them again for the rest of eternity because again, they're our highest paying play in option selling in quite some time. Anything else that's up or down? Bigly looks like Archer ons Adobe I got out of, and I'm not sure we're gonna be able to break through the 200. I'm real curious if we back test to the 100. That might be a re-swing trade, by the way, if we get back some opportunities there. Microsoft cooling off as well. I'll be happy to see this line hold support 488. That would be really good if we can see that. Shop doing the same. All of these companies that had real big run-ups. Palantir was in that list, but looks like they're nowhere to be seen on the deep red. Speaking of deep red, Reddit is hanging out at the 200 SMA on the money. Look at that. And here goes the Christmas tree. We are blinking left and right. Reddit is dropping. Why did I need to have this chart open? I think this is actually fine. We're back at the bottom of the channel, which I like. And we get the 50 right under us. So we might bounce off here. Are we going to close this gap? I don't know. This is based on the S&P inclusion, so it doesn't seem likely. So if you're looking to get in on Reddit, anything 175 could be a really interesting, aggressive CSP to go after, pretty at the money. Not financial advice, to your own due diligence. Let's see what we have on the green side. Do we have any green? There we go. We've got Lunar is holding on. And iron is looking quite good. Again, we've got a few of these that are between the 50s and the 100s and the 200s. Let's see if we can hold on. We might back test off the 50 this morning, but I could see us, I look at this and I go, we back test and then ideally we break through with this momentum through the 100 and the 200. SoFi still looking, pretty good. This is all fine. This could hopefully just be a wick later in the day. And yeah, that's about it for big runners that I see. I guess we could take a quick look at the heat map here. Looks like chip stocks are doing well at open, electronic technology, and basically everything else is red. So it goes. All right, everybody, thank you for stopping in today. It's been great hanging out with you as always. That's going to do it for me today. If you enjoyed it, hit that subscribe, hit that like, and we'll see you tomorrow where we do it all over again.